The story for Insanity, Arizona is Welcome to Sanity, Arizona. It's a small town where everybody knows everyone, and the natives are happy to live and let live. Unless you're visiting. Forged in the fires of segregation, the descendants of an overrun insane asylum years before have carved out a place for themselves in the middle of the Mojave Desert. It's a small place with a single road and only a few buildings to speak of, out in the middle of nowhere. The residents have developed their own systems of law, politics, ethics, religion, and morality. Left on their own, sanity would thrive outside the view of our world, content to live their lives in their own way. Unfortunately for all involved, strangers do occasionally find themselves in Sanity, Arizona. I had first come across Insanity, Arizona at a free comic book day last year in 2013. It was a simple issue that had like 3 stories in it, and I liked it. It wasn't until this year's free comic book day that I met 2 of the writers of the book, I think one of them may have been an artist, and bought this here graphic novel from them. And upon reading the whole anthology, I have to say I liked it more than what I read in the sample last year. To start out, each of the individual stories are great. Shocking, and sometimes downright grotesque with some of the subject matter in them. But they were treated in a way to make the insanity of the town's citizens seem quite sane, even if they are so fucking nuts. And that is one thing I noticed in this book. Many can just write most of these people off as psychologically disturbed or just fucking crazy. But I found most, if not all of them, sane. Bear with me here. In the beginning, the town of Sanity was founded by inmates from an insane asylum, and yes, one can say these founders, or at least just some of them, are mentally disturbed. However, their descendants that live in the town later, I find are actually sane. To us, they are not, since we live and were raised in a society that is deemed normal. And craziness needs to be treated in an insane asylum or in a hospital. However, these people were raised in a town where people's craziness is normal and open, and therefore these people are sane. This is all they know. The art styles of the stories differ between each story in the anthology, and each one goes with each story. Both the art and some of the stories remind me of these 3 horror anthology books called Scary Stories from when I was a kid. Much like Insanity, Arizona, they were shocking and scary, and the art was beautiful. The main difference between these books and Insanity, Arizona is that Scary Stories deals with supernatural horror, whereas Insanity, Arizona deals with the horrors of real people and how dangerous they really are. To add to the insanity of the whole book, none of the stories are told in chronological order, and is something I found just fits the book. It adds to the insanity of the book, but also just fits in the telling and the order of the whole town. The stories I particularly like are the Broken Water stories, the stories about the character John, and the stories about the 3 children that act as the law of the town. The Broken Water stories tell of the origins of the town's sanity, and we get to see the struggles of the citizens try to be accepted by outsiders and then declare their independence from society and build their own society in town. It shows, much like I said earlier, that not all are crazy, but actually people trying to live a life they understand, and some want to be accepted by people like us, but can't because we judge them and think they can't function. And shows the humanity of these people, especially after the founder dies, and how they treat him and carry out his last wishes, and the speech given out at his funeral, and how they will continue the founder's teachings. It gives one hope for the town. The stories that are about the character John are the most interesting to me. Here we have a man with a set of morals that he has established for himself to protect the town from outsiders and sometimes from the people living in the town itself. He's a protector. His narration, which we find out is from him that are written in a book he writes in, and it is written in a poetic and almost biblical way. And at the end of the last John story, we are left with this book. I like to think that the three children that represent the law find this book and read and learn something from it, and maybe develop the law into something more that can actually benefit and aid the town. Unfortunately, these children can't read. The stories that involve the children that represent the law are, to me, the most innocent of the stories. Yeah, the first story they are in, they put a guinea pig inside a guy's stomach, but in their defense, he broke a law. But in their other stories, they are these children that are dealing with kid stuff and actually show humanity towards each other, like the two kids, or deputies, that care for each other in a loving way. There is this one story I particularly like of theirs called Kids and Their Treasures. The art styling looks as if the story is drawn in a book, as we can see the words of the book beneath the drawings, and the drawings looks as if they were done by a child, possibly one of the kids in the story. It was unique, and as I said earlier, it suits and fits the story. The story is about the children finding an abandoned car, and the girl in the group finds a dildo, and they think it is a shiny, sparkly pink sword. I am not kidding. One of the deputies gets jealous and wants it, and threatens to hurt them if he doesn't get it. The other three, the girl, a boy deputy, and a boy judge, run away and bury the dildo in the cemetery. The other deputy is mad that they lost it, but is offered a compensation and agrees to stop. Afterwards, later in the story, they forget where the dildo is buried, and a lesson is learned about the value of something lost, and they learn a little something about each other. I really like this book and do recommend it to mature readers. I give this book 5 stars out of 5. It had some originality, great stories, and creativity, and it's something I haven't seen in a long time. I mean, seriously, when was the last time you saw an anthology book or movie like this, or even a good one? I hope the writers and artists do more works either like this or something different. It would be nice if they made a sequel, but at the same time maybe they shouldn't, because it might not have the same value as this first one. But I would like to see the future works of all these artists and writers of this book. They might surprise us all even more in the future. We just have to wait.